This is a story of an amazing dog named Jefe. Jefe's story begins in one of the happiest countries in the world, Costa Rica. But Jefe did not have a happy beginning. He was found malnourished and mangy when his Costa Rican mom rescued him to her sanctuary named Whiskerville, where Jefe was one of 12 dogs at the time. There, Jefe was nourished and thrived into a very happy dog, as you can see in this photo. Jefe was stubborn and independent. The fence and leave the other dogs behind and roam the Costa Rican jungle. Hence the name Jefe, which means the boss in Spanish. Not far from Whiskerville, Chuck and I were building our dream, a bed and breakfast in Costa Rica named Ocaso Cerro. As the construction came closer to completion, Chuck asked our neighbor at Whiskerville for a dog that could provide security for our property, but would also be friendly to our bed and breakfast guests. She thought Jefe would be the right dog, and he turned out to be perfect. Jefe was a Weimaraner and Labrador mix, and he loved his independence. At first, he would constantly run off into the jungle and back to Whiskerville. Chuck became very frustrated and packed up his things to take him back to Whiskerville. That's when we learned that Jefe used to jump the fences at Whiskerville all the time because he loved his independence. So it wasn't that Jefe didn't like Ocaso Cerro, it was just simply in his nature to need his freedom to roam. But after that day, Jefe realized that he almost got sent back. So from that day forward, he learned that Ocaso Cerro was his home. Jefe was a great companion to Chuck at Ocaso Cerro during the construction, because I was still living in the United States at the time. Jefe spent most of his days roaming the Costa Rican jungle with his girlfriend Cindy, who was a neighbor's Doberman Pinscher. Here they are playing at the beach. Jefe grew to love his time at Ocaso Cerro. He enjoyed spending time with Chuck, and the construction at Ocaso Cerro always had a sandpile for him to play on. And of course he loved the B&B guests. The monkeys would tease Jefe, running up and down the trees. As they got to the ground, he would chase them. They would go back up into the tree, and then they would come back down to entice him to chase them again. Jefe was a great bed and breakfast dog. He was super friendly, and all the guests loved him. He wasn't allowed indoors, so he would lay at the threshold of the doorway to the bed and breakfast, enticing people to come and play with him, to give him attention, and he absolutely loved every minute of it. After we realized that our Costa Rican bed and breakfast adventure was not going to work out as we had hoped, we made plans to return to the U.S., and of course we were going to bring Jefe along. But he had a lot to learn. Jefe's journey to become a legal immigrant into the U.S. would begin with him learning how to be in a crate. So Chuck and I bought a crate, and within a few weeks' time, he learned to use it. After that, he had to go to the vet to get proper paperwork for the trip. Then his journey would require planes, trains, and automobiles. At the airport, Jefe weighed too much, but they went ahead and they allowed him to continue to travel. He would ride in the belly of the plane, so the temperature had to be appropriate as well. And everything worked out so that Chuck and Jefe could make the flight back to the United States. If you remember from before, Jefe was not used to going inside. So when Chuck arrived at the rental house in St. Petersburg, he had to manhandle Jefe to get him to go through the door because he just wasn't used to going inside and didn't want to be in trouble. Jefe had a lot to learn about America, like how to walk on a leash and how not to walk in front of cars, which unfortunately he never learned about the cars. But he quickly became Americanized. He liked his new backyard in the urban jungle, even though it was nothing as big as the Costa Rican jungle that he used to roam. But in his older age, he didn't seem to mind because he just wanted to be with us. Jefe loved to go on walks. It was always an opportunity to socialize with other people and dogs that he absolutely looked forward to every day. Well, he knew exactly when his time was too. He even got at the end to where he would use his voice to bark at us as if he was talking to us excitedly to take him on his walk. Jefe always loved being outside, especially on our nice front porch. He loved to watch dogs come up and down the street and neighbors walking by and the mailman and all of the delivery people. He always wanted to say hi. In fact, we had one neighbor who said that her dog didn't like any of the other dogs except for Jefe. He always wanted to walk by our house so that he could see Jefe. Jefe's boating life began in the United States. We started him slow, first with his dinghy ride, and after that, we adjusted him to the big boat called the doghouse in his honor. Jefe was exhausted on his first day on the big boat. He was so tired when we got home, he had to lay down to eat his dinner. Jefe loved being on the boat. He liked being at the marina because he could watch the people go by, and typically they would come and give him lots of attention. He also loved being out on the water because he loved to watch all of the wildlife, the manatees, the dolphins, and the fishing. It would just amaze him when Chuck would pull fish out of the water. But the one thing Jefe refused to do is to learn to go to the bathroom on the boat. He didn't want to do anything that was wrong, and as hard as we tried, he never would learn to use the bathroom on the boat. Because Jefe loved the boat so much, when we had our canvas work redone on the top, we had the canvas person cut holes or little windows into the sides so that Jefe would be able to stick his head out, and he absolutely loved being able to have a better view. Although Jefe loved being on the boat, his body was not well suited for rough waters. His heavy structure on really skinny long legs made for a dog that literally turned green on us at times. Jefe loved all of his multiple doggy beds throughout the house and the boat. He even would lay in his bed, and he was such a dreamer. He would kick his legs and wag his tail. We always wondered if he was dreaming of being in the Costa Rican jungle chasing monkeys. Jefe loved to dig. In our house in the U.S., he would dig holes and hide down in them in the yard. The neighbors would drive by and laugh at him. Eventually, we made him stop digging holes in the front yard, but we gave him the side yard to roam. And our pet sitter used to always say, Jefe's dug to China while we were away traveling. Even in Costa Rica, Jefe loved the dirt. The construction site was perfect for him because he could always find a mound of sand or dirt that he could dig into and lay on. Our construction workers at Ocaso Cerro gave Jefe the nickname Backo. I don't have a photo of this in Costa Rica, but here's a photo from the U.S. to show why he has this nickname. What he would do is dig a hole, bury something in it, and then he would use his nose to backfill the dirt. So he would walk around Costa Rica a lot with his nose having dirt all over the top of it. Jefe had some very strange habits that I've never heard of a dog having before. He loved to lick the plants on the patio out back, incessantly, as if it was some kind of dog nip. He would just lick the air around the plants, as you can see in these videos. He also liked to chase wasps and bugs, but he especially loved it when the wasps would sting him in his mouth. One of the distinctive features of Jefe was his long tail. He had 3 different tail wags. We called the first one sweeping the floor, the second one the back and forth, where he would wag his tail back and forth, and the third one, when he was super excited, he would do 360-degree turns with his tail. As Jefe grew older, he became absolutely terrified of lightning and thunderstorms. It didn't help that we lived in the lightning capital of the world, and we tried everything we could think of to help Jefe. Our vet even recommended we try a dog therapist. She had been on TV, and we thought maybe this would work. We had difficulty getting sleep because if Jefe was up and the thunderstorm was at night, he wasn't going to allow either one of us to sleep either. Jefe was very playful. He loved playing with his toys. He especially liked stuffed animals. A monkey and a lamb were 2 of his favorites. He liked to sling them around, toss them up, and then he would chew on them and rip them apart. Take out all the stuffing was one of his favorite things to do. But Jefe also liked playing with the simple things in life. A simple box or a stick would also make him perfectly happy. Jefe loved attention, so he always wanted to be in the middle of whatever you were working on. So our work days would turn into interruptions from Jefe. And if we were working on the house, then he always had to be in the middle of whatever was going on as well. Jefe loved to travel. especially if it involved riding in a car. He liked experiencing new places, meeting new people, and he always drew attention wherever he went. And of course, no matter where we went, whether it was by boat or by car, the part Jefe liked most is that he was always with us and not left behind with the pet sitter. We could see that Jefe was starting to slow down as he was aging, but we really wanted to take him on a big road trip. And so, after I retired, we planned a long cross country road trip, and this is our chart on roadtrippers.com of our path that we plan to take. Jefe absolutely, completely loved all of the places that we visited, and it was a lot of iconic sites that not many people even get to see. So he was a very special dog to get to have all of this experience on a cross country road trip. Jefe's cancer was very aggressive, and it always took the path of least resistance on his skin, which meant he always was covered on his belly, including his private parts. We were able to find an amazing doctor, Dr. Canfield, who was a specialist in vet dermatology. Only a few hundred in the world, and he happened to have an office one day a month a few miles from our house, so we felt like it was meant to be. Dr. Canfield was able to use cryosurgery, laser surgery, and the knife on Jefe on his whole entire body. And we were able to continue to do maintenance on him. As things would pop up, we would take him back to Dr. Canfield and he would work his magic. And we added years to Jefe's life. We were so grateful when the vet told us that Jefe had vertigo. I didn't even know dogs could get vertigo. But he would be okay. He just needed some time to heal. At the time, we didn't know that it was going to be Jefe's last Thanksgiving. We just knew he was getting older, and we wanted him to be able to enjoy a real Thanksgiving dinner at the table. Saturday, October the 16th, seemed like a normal day. Jefe was running around the house like usual, and outside there was a cat. And of course, he had to chase it. He chased it as hard as he could. But then he wasn't feeling so well. After Jefe's passing, we felt totally lost. The house was so different without all of the sounds of our Jefe boy. But we seemed to take some comfort when we were able to create a memorial for him. A box with his ashes, his collar, which still smelled like him, and his doggy footprint, along with a memorial stone with his photo on it. We've had some time for our broken hearts to heal. We feel very blessed to have been Jefe's parents and had him in our lives, and we are excited and looking forward to having a new dog, who certainly will never replace our Jefe, but who I think will bring a lot of joy